Your very first assignment is to kind of create a snowman, okay? So the snowman, what you have to do is to get some snowman concept. You can create a basic snowman. If you want to be creative, you can create something like a snow cat or snow spider, right? Nobody say it has to be a man. So as long as it's at the end, it's kind of assign a snow material that will qualify as snowman. So be creative, have fun using basic primitive to kind of assembling your shape together. All right, let me show you snowman. Let's do images. Okay, so there's some classic snowmen. Some of people might try to create all of. It's a little bit challenging. So you can create something simple like this, right? You can have different proportions. Some have, like for this case, the head is a little bit big. The classic might be just 3 different spheres. Okay, this one is cool. It's upside down. I love this one. Okay, so how do you create a snowman? Let's do a quick exercise right here. I'll start with a new scene. I might want to use my 4 view to start with this. I can start with my front view, make it bigger. This is my ground plane. Always started with the ground plane. You can see the thicker line, the origins right here. Always trying to create objects above the ground. So I can start with spheres. 1, move it up, scale it slightly, taper it down slightly so it's not a perfect spheres. Control D to duplicate, move it up, scale it down, press R for scaling, Control D to duplicate, bring it up, scale this down. Okay, so now double check on all different angles. Now we got this basic of snowman. Then from there, we can start working on the nose. Okay, so snowman gotta have a nose. So in this case, I will show you 2 different way of doing a nose. I will show you the nerve way, and I'll also show you the polygon way. So if I show you the nerve way, I'll go to nerve primitive cone. Move this cone out of the way so I can see my geometry. Rotate my cone 90 degrees on x-axis. Okay, and I can bring it out here a little bit more. I want to change my radius maybe to 0.1, and then maybe make it taller, maybe the high ratio taller. Okay, so that might look good. Maybe make it slightly bigger. There we go. Now I want to manipulate the shape. Okay, so I'm going to the component mode, but it feels like it doesn't have enough component for me to work with. So what I want to do is I want to add more divisions on here. So I will make it bigger for you guys to see. Okay, so right now you can see this is 1 span. So this is what it looks like. If I change my span to 2 or 3, you see it add more subdivision in here for me. So if I go to the component mode, I can select this whole rows of control vertices, use the move tool, drag it to the left, select this whole rows of control vertices, drag it to the right. So then we can go back to the object mode. We can place this snowman's nose onto the snowman. And then we can come here and say, okay, well, that snowman's nose doesn't look all that cool. So we can select the control vertex by hold on to the right mouse button. You can do it that way, or you can go to the component modes. Okay, so there are various ways you can select the component. Right mouse click, choose control vertex, select some of the control vertex as a row, move it up and down. There we go. Very good. Now your job for these couple weeks is to create a snowman. You will create more rocks to place by the eyes. So I'll create a spheres, right? And I want to move it by the eyes. But I cannot see the eyes. It's buried. So I can press hotkey 4. I can see the preview. I can see the wireframe. I can scale down my eyeballs. And I can go to my side view, press hotkey 4 so I can see the eyeballs. Use the move tool. I can bring out the eyeballs like so. Double check on the perspective view. We don't want to have just one eye. We want to have two eyes. So we can continue to edit it, the shape. Control D to duplicate, move the eyeballs to the right. You can continue moving the shape, make it bigger, make it smaller. Maybe you are creating a crazy snowman. So he might have a small eye and a big eye, right? That gives it some crazy characteristic of the snowman. You can create a button, Control D to duplicate, move it down. I can create multiple buttons right here. One, make sure it's aligned on the center. So one button, Control D, duplicate, two button, three button. There we go. If you want to have the mouse, also made out of rock, Control D to duplicate, move it up here. I'll make it smaller for the rock. Even smaller. Okay, and we can create Control D to duplicate, move, smile, duplicate, move. Control D to duplicate. Okay, so this is how you kind of create a basic snowman. We're going to talk about how to change the pivot point and how you can create a branches by using the nose shape. And then you can Control D to duplicate over, rotate this. And you can continue to duplicate the nose shape to create for the branches. Right? So you can Control D to duplicate that, rotate it, move it, scale it down smaller. Now you might be wondering, this is so hard to manipulate when the pivot point, right? The pivot for the object is right in the center. It becomes really hard to work. Is there any way we can change the control point so it's a little bit more relative to us? Yes, we can do that. That is called pivot point. How do you change the pivot point? You can press Insert key, drag the pivot point to the end of this cylinder, press Insert key again. So now if we move, we can rotate from that pivot. Select this one, change my pivot over here. Insert key again to get out the pivot point mode. I can make this longer. Rotate. Bring this one over here. Smaller. Control D to duplicate. Move it over. Rotate. Smaller. There we go. You might need to have a better placement, like so. You might say, how do I mirror this whole thing over there? We can select all these objects. We can go to Edit, Group. And you can see when you create a new group, the pivot point is at the origin. That might be okay for you. Control D to duplicate and rotate it. Okay, but we probably don't like the pivot to be at the bottom because it's a bit too uniform, right? So we can change the pivot, press Insert key, Bring the pivot over by the beginning of the arm. Okay, and insert key again, and we can rotate the arm. You can even animate this, having saying goodbye or saying hi. You can continue working on the head. So I'm gonna stop right here because I want you to make sure you catch up to this point. I'll go ahead and save this file. Let me call this one 3D modeling. Call this one Snowman 1. Okay, so that was saved as a Maya binary file, and you can, every time you create more modification, you can continue to call it Snowman 2, Snowman 3. You can, following what I talk about in the NER method, to create a head, okay, from a video tutorial. Next week, I will create or I will point to you to some video that talk about how to create shader, how to create a material for the snowman. So you can create a black shading for the rocks, orange shading for the nose, and white shading for the snowman's body.